Today we're going to be looking at the only front end on this list which is fully open source. We're going to be looking at NeoStation. Let's dive in. So this front end is probably one of my favourite new ones, and it's because it bears some resemblance to ESDE, but I love the fact that it's open source, and I believe the lead developer has just taken on an extra developer to help him with some of the features. So hopefully the development of this really accelerates soon. So if we go to Obtainium, we're going to be grabbing NeoStation. There we go, and then once that's downloaded, we'll just open it up as we often do. You should be used to this by now. Why are you still watching these videos? Please don't go anywhere. So we're going to open up NeoStation. As you can see, by default, it is flipped over to dual screen, which I think is new because I don't think it was always dual screen by default. So it's going to ask you where to save your user data. I just tend to leave it in the default. So we're going to grant access for storage permission, and then we'll back out. We're going to select our ROMs folder. So it's found 23 systems with games. So because I'm using the ESDE folder layout combined with some cannoli butchering, then it will only scan the systems with games, which I really like. So we'll finish there. So by default, we've got straight in. Looks quite nice, but does feel like it is missing something. So we can see we've got our apps there, we've got our games. Obviously, we've got no artwork yet, so we'll be getting that shortly. This tab at the top, so we've got this feature called NeoSync. So this is an app that the developer is also working on where you can back up your save data. I do believe it only currently works with certain platforms. I know it works with RetroArch, possibly some other emulators. Very early in development, there is a free account where I think you get 4 megabytes of free storage, which if you're just playing retro games is plenty. Hopefully with save syncing, and it's something I've been investigating with SyncThing for a while now, we can get to the point where we just have a simple solution. But for now, NeoSync is pretty good. We have our achievements tab, so I'm just going to log in. So there we go, so I've logged in. So weirdly enough, I didn't have to put in a password. It just pulls my public profile, which is fine. Don't know why it says I'm a softcore user. I'm a hardcore gamer, that's offensive. But you can see I've recently played some Pokemon Gold. I apparently got I beat Metal Gear Solid 2 in 2022. I've definitely beaten more games since then. So some of the public profile data, not the most up to date, but hopefully with future developments, they can start incorporating the full Retro Achievements API. We can have our screen scraper login, so as I always say, make sure you get yourself a free screen scraper account. One thing I will say that I really like about this app is each of these tabs, like with Retro Achievements, like with Screen Scraper, it actually tells you what it is there. Many other front ends don't do it. That's why you come and find videos like mine. So firstly, thanks for being an honest and open front end and giving people the information. Secondly, stop doing it because it's going to affect my view count. So I've logged myself into Screen Scraper, so as soon as you do that, you automatically get this scraping menu, which we'll go through shortly. So then we have our settings. So scan folders on startup is always very good. Not everything does that. You can set this as your default launcher, which I'm going to do now. So there we go. So it'll reboot, it'll scan the systems. Go back over to settings. So you can disable the second screen. Currently, this is very early in development, so the second screen doesn't do a whole lot. So you can disable this for now, but hopefully in future updates, this will have a little bit more functionality. In directories, you can add more if you like. If you have external games on an SD card, for example, and you can also trigger a rescan from here without having to force restart the app. Systems, you can have your recent games card. You can choose to show or hide systems. So for example, I don't really need the Android one, and I don't really want the all one, but I like having just the systems that I've got there. Obviously, if you add a system, you'll need to do a rescan for it to show on here. For palettes, so we have these color themes. So these are quite simple. They do look quite nice, very kind of almost cyberpunky, very modern. I quite like just the standard one it comes with personally. But for a bit of colour, we'll go for Grovebox, whatever that is. We also have themes. Now currently there is only one theme available, that's the default NeoStation one. So this will grab artwork for the console browser. Again, hopefully as the development progresses, this will be opened up, and then hopefully we'll have a theme browser that's as popular as things like Isu and Cocoon. where you can manage your themes from within the app itself, rather than having to root through everyone's Discords. So once that's downloaded, if we head back over to our first tab, you can see that now we've got some console images, and we've also got them on the second screen as well. So just whilst we're on here, if we press our X button, you can see we can change our view mode, so you can have a carousel if you like. I will say I love how snappy these animations are. You can sort by alphabetical, release year, manufacturer, ascending or descending, which is always very cool. Back on the grid view, you can also sort the size of the cards as well. So now let's have a look at the scraper. So I've logged in. Now with NeoStation, this is the only front end I've seen that actually takes advantage of the additional threads you get from Screen Scraper if you give them a few euros or subscribe to their premium features. So I have a max of 6 threads because I gave them, I think, a tenner about 2 years ago. Still paying dividends. But if I go to scraping and I just, firstly I'm going to scrape mode actually, so you can set here new content only or all content. So obviously for our first pass we'll do all content, and then if you add any games just flip it back to new only. For media I'm going to leave all of those on. Region, I always stick with world first, USA second, yeah that's all fine. Obviously English, you can choose your language here, and then you can pick specific systems if you like, or you can just leave it on all like I've done here. So now we're going to hit scrape. So you'll see it's simultaneously grabbing 6 different games at once, which a lot of the front ends don't tend to do. They tend to do them in a loop system. So for each game, they will grab the artwork, the metadata, and then they'll move on to the next one. So the fact that this can do 6 at a time, you can see just in the time I've been talking, we've done 6%, nearly 10. We've nearly done 10% just in the brief time that I've been talking, about 15-20 seconds. On that note, as well, as I mentioned before, the reason I've got these 6 threads is because I donated money to Screen Scraper. I do advise you donate money to Screen Scraper. It's well worth it. It is one of the best repositories out there for game metadata, videos, manuals, all that good stuff. And it's a one-off payment. I paid them a tenner. I got access to all this, and like I said, that was about 2 years ago. So whilst that's doing as well, you can see it's been running for about a minute and we're over a third of the way there. It's probably got about 4 minutes left. So whilst that's doing, if we head back over to some of our games and we look, we can see we've got this second screen which does play the video, although I can't see the video, I don't really know what's happened there. Oh, there we go. Just a little moment it was having. So this is Adventure Island, so if I press start, I can tap that and mute the video. We've also got these tabs up here, so if I press my right bumper, I can view the achievements, which is always great, and then you can also customize from here your emulator, your RetroArch core, so it will detect which ones you've got installed. I can't verify for sure, but I do believe the ones of the trophies are the recommended ones. Happy for anyone to correct me if that's incorrect, but the fact that you can just set your emulators that easily is always great. You can also do this if you head back and then you press settings on a console, you can set a default for that console. So for example, for Game Boy, I can just set it to Gambate. You can also favourite your games by pressing Y. This will add a little love heart. And then we've also got this little automatic collection here of your favourite games, which is always really great. So if we go into a system and we click our left stick, we also have this random game feature. Now, I can't seem to find a way to get it to do random games across all systems, unless I've just missed it, but that will be a nice feature for a future update to do a library-wide randomization rather than just a system-wide one, but still a great start. So just finally on our system settings, if you go over and press start on any console, you can customize things like hiding the parentheses and the file names. If you've got things like the country code or stuff like that, you can choose to do that automatically. You can hide the system logo from the overlay, so that will just give you the image, which I think feels a little bit naked, so I'm going to put it back on. But it's good that you have that option. Obviously, if you're using your own custom artwork, for example, if you press start and then go to appearance and set your own images or your own system logo, you can obviously turn off the built-in system name for a little bit of added control. So that was NeoStation, and I do have to say, probably one of my favourite front ends that has come out in recent months. I just love the amount of polish. It definitely feels like the developer has focused more on polishing the basic functionality, whereas my main concern for a lot of the bigger front ends, like your Isus, like your Cocoons, etc., is they have a tendency to chase features, and that can lead to feature creep and bloat, whereas for NeoStation, it does most of the things I need it to do. I think it would benefit from having a better use of the second screen, maybe a dedicated app launcher, but again, this is nowhere near as far along as some of those front ends, and already it's showing a level of polish which is absent from a lot of other front ends. If it wasn't for Emulation Station, this would probably be my favourite one. If you like this video, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe. I've got many more videos about the AYN Thor, about other consoles. I've got the Odin, I'm going to be covering the Ammunic RGDS, the RG Rotate, anything I can get my hands on. If you've got any questions, comments, feedback, have I missed a front end, have I missed a feature, please let me know in the comments below. I do try and be as active as I can, even given YouTube's terrible community UI on the YouTube Studio. Make sure you're subscribed, give the video a like, and I'll see you next time.